Okay, cool. Now, I guess just this, what's really weird is like I'm more nervous to do this Zoom meeting than if we were like over there sitting at my table. You know, I don't know why, but it just seems like this is different and it's weird, but okay.
Hey, a lot of podcasts are fucking just audio.
Yeah. Well, this is
So,
this has just audio. Well, you know that, but yeah. Okay. Welcome to Unabridged Waters. Adam Powell, how are you?
wonderful, man. I appreciate the opportunity to go on this journey with you.
Nice. So, just a brief history about us. We grew up in our mid to late childhood, I would say. Probably like when did you move? 14?
Yeah, I was 14.
Yeah, so like that last leg of childhood in a very small town called Reeseville. Where do you find yourself today?
Currently I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. Working for a home services business. Basically, the concept of it is that they will bring people in, they will develop them into leaders, and then they will actually send them out to give them a portion of the business. So they're business owners, and they have a little skin in the game. So they take a little more serious, they have that owner operator approach to it. So it's fun to be a part of. My current role, I basically on the development side. So I have people come through the door. I help develop them into the leader that they can be. And when they go and open a location, I actually can invest in that business. So it's a good opportunity. I kind of have the need a second chance in life thing, and it's similar with this. Currently, I work with You Move Me, so it's a moving company, and not a lot of people will want to be movers. It's either they need a summer job or they've kind of messed up elsewhere, and now they're like, this is the place that will hire me. So it's cool to be able to work with those people that have made mistakes before and aren't the most desirable candidate, but we are able to give them an opportunity that if they do the right things, that they can be very successful. I mean, some of these guys, there's a gentleman that gas station attendant prior to, and 3 years since he's been there now for 3 years, and he made about $500,000 last year. So
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, and it's only getting better. It's ground floor, so it's interesting.
So this is a franchise, and you'll train like people that are going to open a location elsewhere.
Correct. Yep. So it's a franchise, but it's almost like a franchise within the franchise. So they like the U Movie is technically a franchise, but like here at Southwind, which is the parents company of the U Movies here, they are the ones that develop, and then they'll send somebody out, and then they have a separate. So you pay a royalty as when you're a franchise. So there's the You Move Me royalty, and then there's a management fee is what they call it for Southwind, which is like a percentage that basically you don't even run the business. You operate the day to day. So like when I was managing back when I owned, like I had to do everything, like interviews, hiring, like fucking accounting, advertising, just all of that stuff, work comp, deal with insurance, all that stuff. And here, they take care of all that stuff. That's all done by a corporate team that's located in Kansas City. So like literally you don't even like screen applicants. Like they literally say, hey, you have 4 interviews tomorrow. And people just show up, you interview them, train them, and it's a very, very good system. They kind of take the overhead and they bring it into one area, and they allow those resources to trickle down to the others. So it doesn't take a super special person to do it. It's very obtainable by really anybody, as long as you take direction well and do what you're asked to do.
So how did you let's back up to the very beginning and how you even got introduced to You Move Me then, and then just work me through like what you went through to get to this position that you're at now.
So like back when I was on the trucks?
Yeah, all the way at the very beginning. Let's hear the story.
Cool. So I dropped out of school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I was just kind of bouncing around from warehouse jobs and
Wait. College or high school?
out of college.
Oh, okay.
I guess that is a vague way to put it, where it's like I'm not really sure. So yes, I dropped out of college, and
What were you going to college for?
I was going for exercise science. I wanted to be a personal trainer.
Okay.
That was the dream. But I didn't take it very seriously, and I was wasting money, so I just took time off. And I was working at a factory, and it was mandatory 7 days a week, and I hated it.
Whoa. Yeah. Screw that.
It was absolutely the worst job ever. Like trimming plastic parts with like little hand tools. Like you couldn't brush your teeth in the morning because your hand like get like carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
I was not there very long, so it was very miserable. So I got fired from that because I called in all the time. And I was like, damn, like this is very much rock bottom. Like when I was little, I always thought like, oh, I'm gonna be rich someday and I'll be successful. Should I be a lawyer? Should I be a doctor? Like I was just an arrogant kid, and I just thought that it was just fucking fall in my lap. And then that happened. I was like, damn, like I'm a scumbag. Like I'm probably not gonna accomplish much. And I had a friend that was actually from the same town as you and I, Eric Castillo. He was moving to Madison, Wisconsin, and he's like, hey man, like you need a fresh start, come with me. And I was like, and didn't work out that great at first. Back up a little bit. I went and got like the shortcut version of being a personal trainer, of just getting an online certificate. And I was like, all right, cool. I got this piece of paper. Like, let me go be a personal trainer at a gym there. Doesn't work that way. And you'd be working with middle-aged women that fucking want to lose 5 pounds. So it's just not really what I wanted to do. So I needed a job to pay rent. So I went to a temp agency, and they called and they said, hey, do you want to go work for this moving company for a day? They just need help for the day. And I was like, I'm in fairly good shape. That'd probably be something I'd be good at.
Oh, you're jacked.
I maybe used to be, but not anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a different story, but yeah. So I went there, literally got trained for 30 minutes. Like, all right, this is what you're gonna do. Hop in the truck, learn from this guy. He's been here. He's one of our best guys. He's been here a while. So I'm like talking to this guy, and I just never forget. I was like, so man, you've been here a while. Like, how long you been here? Expecting to say like, I've been here a year. I've been here 3 years. He's like, I've been here for 3 months. And I was like, 3 months?
Yeah,
like,
veteran. Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's kind of crazy. So went on that job. It was very difficult because it was myself first day, another guy on his first day, and then this veteran. So I had to kind of like carry everything with this guy, and we like destroyed stuff that day. Like we were bringing a gun safe up the stairs, and it like had like a curve in the stair. So when the curve went, like the side of the thing was like just dragging along the wall. We destroyed this dude's wall, but this guy was actually helping us like push this thing up step by step. But the day gets over, he was super appreciative, and then he gave us a $40 cash tip each. And at the time I was like, holy shit, like I didn't know this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And they called me back the next day. They're like, hey, you're a good worker. Do you want to just come work for us? And I was like, I'd love to. Perfect. So I did that so that was August of 2014, probably like 2 months. And then we got slow because not a lot of people move in Wisconsin in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So I left and worked at Duluth Trading Company because they are busy during the wintertime. People are buying stuff. So I was there. That job was miserable. It was not fun. I hated it. And then I got a text from the GM at You Move Me, and he's like, hey, we're having a Christmas party. You worked for us during the summer. You're invited to it. I was like, okay, cool. So I went to it, and they're like, hey, we're about to start getting busy. If you came back, we would have you be one of our top guys, because all the summer people had left and there was not a lot of people left. Like, if you come back, we'll have you want to be the top guys. And I was like, awesome. I liked that job before. So I came back like a week later, and it was like it was awesome because like I was good at it. And like it sucks. The guy that owns the business I work for now, he said you don't get to choose what you're good at. So whenever you find that, just deal with it. And you might want to be a professional athlete, but if you're good at moving, fucking roll with it. So,
Yeah.
So I was doing that. So 4 months after that, they were looking to hire a salesperson. So basically, somebody would go to people's homes and give them estimates and sell them on the company to book with them.
Is this like cold selling, or are these people
No.
already
They're looking.
interested? Okay.
Yeah, no, very easy sales.
So you're closing the deals then, right?
Yeah, basically they're like, hey, we're booking somebody. Can you come out and give us an estimate?
Yeah.
So, but one of the easier sales jobs that are probably out there. And they like didn't want to give me it because I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have any experience in sales. And they like tried to get like anybody else. And they're just like, whatever, we'll just give you a shot. And I killed it in that. Like I was super good at it. I don't know why. I think that I was just tried to help people and it paid off. So I think that came off as genuine to people when I would sell them.
Yeah.
And then I did that for like 2 years, about 2 years. And the owners, I remember just driving because one of the owners in Madison actually owns 1-800-GOT-JUNK as well. And we were going over to his office and he's just sitting in his truck and he looks at me, he's like, hey man, would you be interested in buying the business? And I was like, fuck no, like I don't have any, I'm terrible with money. Like I have bad credit. Like I can't buy a business. He's like, what about your parents? Dude, my parents are the stingiest people on earth. Like they are very principle driven. Like you need to earn everything that you get.
Yeah.
Like, that's dumb. I laughed it off. And then I'm going to visit my parents for like they lived about an hour and a half away. But for some reason I was visiting them like shortly after that happened. And I was telling them about it. And they're like, would you want to do it? And I'm like, what? You're not gonna like give me money. And they're like, well, we'll co-sign a loan for you. And I was like, what? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
I was just baffled. And they're like, you have any idea how much you love this job and how much you love this business? And I was like, no, I don't. And they're like, dude, all you do is talk about this business all the time about how you got to work with this customer and like you got to help these people and that. And I started to reflect on it. And I even asked like friends and they're like, dude, you fucking love that place. Like you're obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Like, geez, I guess I didn't realize it. So fast forward with like figuring out bank loans and all this stuff, we finally get it figured out. And they basically finance the business to me. So they're like, hey, we're just going to give you the business. You pay us back.
That's awesome.
It was a pretty slick deal. And, granted, the business was in a very bad place. Like not a lot of people sell businesses that are thriving and definitely don't sell them for, hey, you'll pay me back as you go.
Yeah.
So I jumped in, no business experience, like no clue what I was doing. I didn't even like do the management side. I did sales. Like I was a mover for a total of like 6 months and then I did sales. So I didn't know how to hire people. I didn't know how to do any of the operations of it. So they came in and they had a GM at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I can work with this guy. He's got a little experience. I got some on the other things he doesn't know. And they fucking fired him the day after I said that I would do it.
Really?
I was like didn't give me a heads up, just walked in. I remember I was writing on the whiteboard with him about stuff. And all of a sudden they just walked in like, hey, man, we're going to have to let you go. I was like, well, who's going to run the business? Like, you got it, man. Like, if you ever need anything, just let us know. I was like, what on earth?
I need that guy.
Yeah. So, which turned out it was the right decision. They explained to it later that his salary would have just made it very difficult to succeed. And that's where the owner operator concept came in and was kind of I was the guinea pig of it. Unintentionally, I don't think they planned to have that, but then they saw that worked well. So took over the business. We did very well at first. I was on the trucks a lot of the time, so our labor was low. There's some scrapes of the knee, and you learn some lessons, and you figure things out. But it was.
Well, what's one thing that really stands out as like a beginning struggle you had taking it over like that?
The biggest thing was, as much as you want to help people, sometimes you have to do what's best for the business, because you help them in the short term and then you have to close a business and they don't have a job. That hurts them a little bit more. I was very trying to like take care of everybody, and it, like, for example, so the moving industry is like April, you'll probably make a little money, but then May, June, July, and August, like that's where you make all of your money. So we get to September, it's starting to taper back down, and it's probably one of the slower months. And I was like, I want my top 3 guys to, to not have to like cut back on their hours and stuff. So I was like, hey, I'm just gonna put you guys on like a salaried amount, but you guys are gonna go on all of the moves. Like you have to get enough hours to make it worthwhile. So didn't do enough revenue for that to be worthwhile. So these guys are making very good money, and we were just bleeding out. So we were I think plus 60,000 in that first summer, and it all went away very quickly.
Because of those salaries that you did to help them out?
And other things, but that was a very big portion of it. And losing all that money in going into the slowest part of the year, into the slowest 8 months, like very hard to come back from that. So that was one thing I learned right away, was that you definitely need to kind of be in survival mode all the time. Regardless of how you're doing financially, you always have to have your back against the wall. One of the tips that I was given way later on is to have enough operating expenses in your actual account and put money elsewhere, so that you operate like you have no money. Because if you do that, then you'll be more successful with it.
So how did you resolve that with those guys?
I mean, I was very transparent about the health of the business. I was like, hey man, I would love to do this, but we gotta do what's best for us.
Yeah.
As a whole here. So I mean, they understood, and they were probably like, damn, like this guy's fucking paying us for this. Like they probably thought it was too good to be true anyways. I don't think there was any resentment. But yeah, so we kind of struggled through that, and then it was just, the winter was brutal. Like got to February and I had to take out a loan just to try to survive. And that was the start of the end. So Square is a payroll, like a merchant services. So basically like to swipe cards and stuff.
Okay.
And that was what we used. And they sent me an email one day. It said, hey, get a loan through Square. And I'm like, oh, I'm fucking broke. Like I need something to get by. So basically how their loans work is they, hey, we're going to give you $20,000 and you're going to pay us back with 10% of your daily revenue that goes through our processing. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's not a problem. That was a big problem. So that's 10% right off the top. So it was very, very hard to get out of that hole. And it was basically just treading water for the next year and a half, basically just making enough money to survive, to just fucking, like, it was just a vicious cycle. It was not great. It was a very quick, easy Band-Aid fix where I was able to just, hey, solve my problem now, kick that shit down the road and deal with it later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was not pleasant. But so it was about a year and a half later, I decided, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. It's just and then on top of it, the corporate office, they controlled our sales. So like they were our call center. And I've been fighting them for a long time to have, like, let us take our own calls. They're like, oh, you're too small, you can't handle it. I'm like, all local moving companies take their own calls. They don't have a call center. Like, yes, we're small. That means we're probably not going to take a lot of calls. So it's not like we're going to have 500 calls coming in. If we did, we wouldn't be small. Like, does that make sense, guys? And I finally just got fed up with it because they were awful to work with. Like, there was an instant where I booked a $15,000 job to New York, and I was like, awesome. They pay $7,500 up front to book it. I'm like, that's good. We need this. And they called into our sales center and they're like, hey, can you guys do long distance moves? Because our competitor was like, oh, they can't do that. Mm-hmm. And they're like, just checking. So they call and they're like, oh no, we don't do long distance moves. because most of them didn't. Like, we were one of 2 franchises that did them and had the paperwork to do it. And they're like, what? So they called another time and got a different agent and asked, and they said no. So she called and canceled with me. And I'm like, what do you? No, I'll send you the paperwork. And she's like, well, it's been too hectic already. We already went with the other company, but I understand and best of luck. And I was like, so I like raised hell with them. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is not okay. I'm like, okay, we'll use it as a teaching moment.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, they're looking at a much larger picture than your one spot, I guess. But
yeah, but that's
pretty shitty.
Yeah, the thing that made me feel a little more justified about my decision to close is that literally a week after that decision was made, they sold the entire franchise to a private party because they clearly didn't know what they were doing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think at the time it was the largest franchise launch in North American history. There's like 25 franchises that launched day one, and they have 20 now. So it's only gone backwards. Like, it's not in good. It's in a lot better place now, but like when they had it, it was terrible.
Okay.
So close it down. I start a furniture delivery business. They reached out to me. I was actually in Boston on a move. I was at Fenway going to a Red Sox game, and I got a phone call, and they're like, hey, one of your customers, we delivered furniture. So it's A1 Furniture in Madison. They're like, one of your customers that used you told us that our delivery service was really bad and that we should reach out to you. So we just wanted to see, if you had time to talk.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool. So I went and talked to these guys, and I was like, it was very lucrative. Like, especially for just me doing it. It was me and a buddy. We were bringing in $1,000 a day doing it. For working 8 hours, picking up like 15 pieces of furniture, basically take 2 things off the truck, drive to the next place. It was awesome. And their warehouse was a disaster. It was a mess. Their processes were terrible. And I just started kind of talking to them, and I was like, hey, like, you guys should do this and you should do that differently. And if this would help with that. And that word got back to the owner, and I get a phone call. He's like, hey, could you come meet with us? And I was like, okay. So I went and met with them, and they like, hey, do you want to be the general manager of the business?
What?
Like, I mean, I'm doing pretty well. And like, we'll give you a salary, and then we'll set up a plan that in 2 years you'll own a piece of the business. And I mean, the business does like $7 million. So I would have been doing, I've been fairly well after those 2 years. So I was like, what? Yeah, sounds good. Like, let's roll with it. So I was there probably, I don't know, like 8 months. Nothing changed. I was like, hey, when you do this, no. Like, they were very much set in their ways. Like, they still have this computer program called the AS400. It's from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's for inventory and stuff like that. So it was very outdated, and that was kind of the.
So they bring you in because you had good ideas on like efficiency, and then you get there and then they don't take advantage of any of your ideas.
Correct.
Oh.
Very, yeah.
Okay.
It was rough. And the funny thing is like, I brought 3 more employees with me that worked with me at You Move Me that ended up being the best employees in the business. So like, we knew what we were doing. Like, we had a good idea, but they just it was a 40-year-old business. So like, a lot of control issues. Went from the dad who started it to now the son runs it. Like, it's, they're set in their ways. So I randomly decided to text Josh Heron, who's the owner down here that I had met. So when I was up in You Move Me, I was 26. And I would go to these conferences, and the nearest person my age was 34, which was Josh. So naturally I gravitated towards him because I didn't have to talk about fucking shuffleboard or something like that with these older folks. So we, became friends. And after I closed, I texted him and I was like, hey, how's You Move Me going? Because I was just kind of curious. New ownership now, like, is it better? And he's like, well, there's still the hurdles and the problems. He sent me this long text, which, like, coolest thing about Josh, like, this guy is he's got a $3 million mansion. Like this guy is very, very successful, makes a ton of money. This guy will text you back within like seconds. Like,
Oh, wow.
He is like the best leader I've ever been around. He genuinely cares about everybody that he works with. And that little thing, like it always sticks out to me, is like you text this guy and he's not the one that's going to blow it off or send you like something like he'll literally send you like novels, and it's just, he understands people, it's like that matters. So he sends me this novel about all this stuff, and then the last thing he says is like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm managing a furniture company. And he's like, no, come down here, come work with us. And I'm like, I don't know, man, it's pretty, the job, like, I didn't see a lot of promise in it after being there for a little bit, but it was easy.
Yeah.
Like, it was a cake job, made decent money. Like, it wasn't that bad. But they own like 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They own You Move Me, and they own like 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They own like 13 of them. So they're all over the United States. And he's like, hey, pick a spot. You can go work there. We'll develop you and you can be an owner afterwards. So I'm like, all right, well, they had like Austin, Texas, and like, what was the other one? They was trying to, like Reno or Salt Lake City. And I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to move there. And then I was like, well, what would you do? And he's like, I would come to Kansas City because we just acquired a HVAC company.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be pretty cool if you came down here and helped us kind of figure it out, because it's something new to us. So having you be here and be able to kind of have your perspective on things that might help out the business. And I was like, okay, well, like, what would I be doing? He's like, well, we'd have you become a tech, like an HVAC tech, and then, graduate into a sales role and, see how we can help you, or how you can help develop the business. And I'm like, I don't know, man. And then I remember this text, and I've told it to tons of people. He said, do you want to sell mattresses for the rest of your life, or do you want to change an industry? And I was like, all right. So I put in my 2 weeks, and literally within like the time that I texted him about You Move Me, I was like 2 weeks later was in Kansas City. Like,
Oh, wow.
I stayed in a hotel. I didn't even have an apartment yet. I was just like, fuck it. Why not? So moved down here, started working at MVP. They basically just taught me. Normally, I think people go to school for like 2 years for that stuff.
Yeah.
That's like 4 weeks of training.
Legit tech degree or certification.
Yeah. So I had like 4 weeks of training, and then I started doing like calls where I would, fix stuff. And it wasn't super difficult. It was actually kind of fun because it's like a puzzle. Like, go out there, like, all right, I go through your order of operations and figuring out what's wrong with it.
Oh, for sure.
So I actually liked it a lot. You get to meet a lot of people. And then it started to get a little slow. And I was like, Josh, like, everybody's telling me it's going to get slow. And he's like, don't worry about it. Like, we're going to make sure you'll have plenty of hours, don't sweat it. And then he's like, wait, why don't we just have you do the new sales position? And I was like, what sales position? He's like, we're starting a commercial sales position for somebody to go get businesses to sign up for like maintenance plans. And I was like, that would be awesome. He's like, yeah, it'll make $60,000 to $100,000 depending on how well you do. And I was like, fuck yeah, sign me up, let's do it. Because then I get to be off like going out and getting dirty and stuff, because it was kind of fun at the time. Also, at times it wasn't the greatest thing. You'd go into some pretty grungy basements and stuff.
Yeah.
So I do the sales thing, and it was a bust. Like,
really,
they didn't really have a lot of information about it, and I was kind of like trying my best, but it just didn't work out. So it was probably like 3 months, and I had a very low base salary because it was all commission based, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I figured out, like, I got yelled at by my boss, which he's awesome guy. Like, I'm still friends with him now, but like, he fucking ripped into me, and it sucked. And I was like, oh shit, like, I need to figure this out. And then I thought about it, I was like, I just can't even do this anymore, like, financially. So in my head, I'm like, all right, I need to get a job elsewhere. Like, I had it figured out. I'm like, Josh, can I talk to you? He came in. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm just not making enough money. He's like, well, and he asked me to explain how the pay worked and all that stuff. And he's like, yeah, that doesn't add up. You can't do that. And I'm like, okay, well, nice knowing you. Like, I'm in Kansas City for this. This kind of sucks. And he's like, well, do you want to stay at Southland? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I would like to. That's why I moved down here. He's like, come to you move me. And I was like, fuck no. Literally, I was like, fuck no. There's no chance I'm going to move me. Like, I was scarred.